You, both of you, this is a question for both of you. How do these lessons apply to Philadelphia? And what can we do right now? I know there's a long game, but there's also kind of the short game. And what are we leaving on the table? What are the stumbling blocks to our success? You both know our psyche and our promise. So I would love to hear.
Well, I think we can
You want to take that? I live here.
No. I mean, I think you can start with the growth platform.
Right.
Because, your innovation assets, Penn, Drexel, Jeff, CHOP, I mean, I could just go on and on, the Navy Yard and how that's evolved. I mean, you've just got this incredible platform to basically compete globally on next generation technologies, which in a relatively short period of time are going to generate enormous wealth for the places that can be on the ground floor. You've got these assets. They're in relatively small geographies. There is high levels of proximity and connectivity. So most places don't start with that. You start with that. So it really comes down to governance and finance.
Yeah.
It's, can you govern in a collaborative way, and can you unlock value in a very smart and strategic way so you can make the kind of investments that have to be made.
So Jeremy,
I would
follow
say
up on that.
Yes, I would say so while there isn't a case study in Philadelphia, there are several parts of the book where we talk about Philadelphia. And we have a chapter on inclusion, because none of this works unless we can build a more inclusive society as part of this. And we use the example of what institutions like Drexel and others are doing or what they're not doing to try to build a broader tent.
Equity.
Yeah, to try to create some more equity in development. So that's one issue. Cities like Philadelphia that have high poverty rates and then have these wonderful growth assets will have to figure out how to more methodically connect those as we move forward. I would say, to reflect on what Bruce said about Philadelphia, because I agree with him, I would say two other things. Look, 10 years ago, I would say in Philadelphia, 2 + 2 = 3. I would now say 2 + 2 = 4. And what we have to do is get to 2 + 2 = 5. And we are moving in the right direction, right? Yep. But it has taken a while to move there. Yeah. And I would say if there's one final thing, just as an example, in the Copenhagen chapter, we actually talk about the Navy Yard in Philadelphia. Yeah. There's an example where I think PIDC did a tremendous job. Right there was, you could argue that the best thing that happened to the Navy Yard is it didn't stay being a Navy Yard. Nobody thought of that at the time. Right. In the early 1990s. It was, it was a big thing in the Buzz Bissinger book. It was a big thing in House of Cards in the first season. Right. It was like everywhere, right? But the best thing that happened in a way is that we were forced to reinvent it. Now, I would say, and I'll say this, we said it, it's in the book, we've said it to people we have a lot of respect for, like John Grady and others. I wish they could have even built their balance sheet more out of those transactions, so there would have been more public wealth. So there's a role in the US, which is an important role, of the public catalyzing markets. I believe in that, I was in that business. But you don't want to leave so much on the table. You want the public to catalyze markets, but also to retain some of that wealth to be able to invest in other things, particularly at a time when there aren't huge amounts of money coming from other places for that investment.